This is Richard Fowler. I'm John Kilpatrick with Okolona Aikido, Louisville, Kentucky, USA. And I have, I've been showing all my, the progression of us learning how to do leading. And I know that'll continue, so whatever I'm doing now is going to change. But I want to try to teach this in a way that people watching the videos might actually be able to learn it and do it. And I don't think what I've been doing in the past would make that easy at all. I hope this does. So the problem that you have, when I started Aikido, and this is like you're doing basic Kotegaeshi. So he's stabbing at me, and I'm doing basic Kotegaeshi, and it would happen just like it happened then. He stabbed me. And really, if you practice at it, you can stab better than that. I mean, you can really get them. And my teacher, so I told my teacher, I said, this doesn't work. I said, whenever I'm uki and I attack Nagi, and he tries to pivot out of the way, I can always stab him. And if I'm Nagi and I try to pivot out of the way, he can always stab me. This is nonsense. And so my teacher said, well, just stab straight. He said that he can follow you because he knows which way you're going. And I would try tricking my partner so he wouldn't know which way I was going and he could still stab me. But I played along and just stabbed straight so that we could practice. So it ended up looking something like this. Now I'm not going to use my hands at all because I'm used to making it work with my hands, and I don't want to do it that way. So we'd be standing like this and he'd stab and I'd get stabbed, And so he stabs, and I try to pivot, and I get stabbed. So, this was a serious problem. And to make now pivoting is extremely important, but it's really easy to stab your partner when they just pivot and don't lead you. So what you have to do is lead, and leading in the sense that I'm using it and the sense that I'm quite certain of Sensei was doing it, is that it's like what a matador does when he's fighting a bull. And the matador has the cape in front of him, which is a surrogate target. And so when the bull starts to charge, the matador is shaking the cape and the bull charges, and the matador steps out of the way and the bull goes ahead and charges the cape. And that's the trick we want to pull off. And when you pull this trick off, it's really quite amazing because your partner doesn't realize anything is going wrong, and they continue to go. You get a great kazusha, your partner goes way off balance, and it works really well. So when we practice this, what we're going to do, and I'll start off showing you your basic way is you're standing in Hami, and he gets your right distance, so your distance is where your weapons don't quite touch. Now we're using the rubber knife for two reasons. One is it makes it a lot more fun to act like the guy's trying to stab you, but also he's really trying to hit me. He's going, he's trying to get me. We're not, we're not just faking it and stopping or something like that. And as you practice, at first you practice at a kind of a moderate speed, but as you get better, you're going to go fast. And we don't want anybody getting their ribs broken or something, and we make a lot of mistakes. Everybody does. So we're using the rubber knives for safety. And so when he attacks, there's certain things I have to do. First, in Aikido, usually, we would start with our hands down here. Some people teach you to start with your hands like this. I teach you to start with your hands up like this. so that you can get in the habit of talking and it doesn't look like you're wanting to fight with the person. But also, if somebody is closing in on you that you're suspicious of, you can say, back up, you know. And you don't look like you're trying to fight, you just look like, and then if they, you know, you say, sorry, I can't help you or something. And then if they keep closing on you, then you yell at them, back away, back up, something, you know, something like that. If they keep coming at you, you know you're being attacked. So now you know that you've got to either defend yourself or run or something. So you should start with your hands here. When he starts his attack, two things have to happen. One is my hands have to move first. So I want his attention on my hands, and movement gets his attention. This is very important. And the other thing is that, like the bullfight, the bull, you start off with your cape between you and the bull. And in this case, my hands are the cape. So my hands are a little bit to the side of me that I'm going to go to. This is very important. I have to pass behind my hands. And if we're doing it the way they teach it in this beginning Aikido exercise, you know, I'm turning all the way around like this. But I have to pass behind my hands. If I go the other way, and I could do it from the same hami, I want you to practice like this. I think that way you're doing closer to the same thing either way. But if I'm going to go to this side, my hands are a little to this side. And then I pivot, and I'm going to make that kind of movement. You'll notice this is a chi ball kind of movement. Chi doesn't have anything to do with it, but they call this a chi ball. So now, when I'm standing here, when he stabs, and so you notice that I start moving have my hands up. When he starts, my hands come across me, and then I pivot. So that would be like this. And I'm making a 180-degree pivot. And if you're doing this right, you kind of disappear. People would talk about, now this wasn't the movement he was doing, Sensei was doing when he disappeared. He was doing something more like a Riminagi where he went behind his partner. But here, your partner should be focused on your hands. The knife should go after your hands. It shouldn't come after you. If that's not happening, then you haven't got it right yet. So when I can go to the other side, see, and so I have to do the same leading to the other side. So if I'm going to his front, as soon as he starts moving, my hands move over a little bit. That gets his attention on my hands, and then I pass behind my hands. So let's do it from the other side so they can see it, what it looks like from the other side. And then if I go the other way, so you can see that my initial movement is to move my hands a little bit in the direction I'm going, and then I pass behind my hands. So, and you notice his knife is right under my hand. He's following my hands. So this is, I consider this exercise, which is so fundamental in Aikido, is being essential. They have you turning a full 180 degrees in order to teach you pivoting and to get you to really pivot. And to do this properly, you have this chi ball and you're moving your hands like we were talking about here. Now, there is another way of doing this that we were using for a long time. I think leading the hands works best, and as we go through, I'm going to present this like a course where we go through how to learn leading. But let's go back this way. But what we started off doing and did for years while we were learning this was lead the vision, because we thought of the cape as leading the bull's vision. This in a way is a lot harder than what we're doing now, because really once you learn this, it's really quite magical, and it's not near as, for something that has the magical effect this has, it's not that hard. Not that anything is easy, but so here, see, I have my hands up here where I'm leading his eyes. And when I do this, practicing leading, I don't want to intimidate him. When I lead, I want it to pull him toward me. So, and then when going that the same way the other way, when he comes in here, so this hand comes up. So that initial movement, my hand coming up where he's going to see it easily, but where it doesn't intimidate him. And if you're trying to lead the eyes, the hands have to get between his eyes and yours. They have to get up there where he sees the hands. So now this is just an exercise. I do not think this is a technique. Most people think of this as a technique. They do this and go into Kodogai-ishi, and they think they're doing a technique. What I think is, one of my teachers, Akira Kohei, said that first hurt. And what he meant was that you got to injure the guy before you try to do your wrist locks and stuff. And I think that's true. Now, he didn't practice that in his classes when I was there, and I don't know people that normally practice that way. So if you're going to actually do a technique, you have to add strikes to your leading. And so just to show you what I mean and why I don't think this is a technique, if I was doing this as a technique and he comes in here, so I'm leading with this hand and punching him with the other hand. And I pull that back really quickly. That's a Kuda style punch. And with practicing I do that because he's coming into it and I don't want to really hit him. And if I follow through, we wouldn't be able to practice very long. But besides, he's bigger than me. He might get mad and beat me to death. So we can't do that. So now that's not the exercise now. We'll get to that training later on. I want to teach striking and leading before we try to do that. But this is a basic leading exercise that I think if you can get a partner that wants to experiment and learn with you, you can really learn to do leading by starting with this exercise. And this is a basic way of starting a Aikido class, and I think that's why.